Hi guys, it's Daisy Brown. I'm just talking to the camera, and I'm gonna show you guys how I feed Alan. He's blind. In case you haven't noticed, his eyes are very foggy.
Who is this? In 2017, a YouTube channel appeared that looked like something you would scroll past within a second thought. A teenager recording videos from her bedroom, talking about her life, showing off her unusual pet. Nothing about it seemed like horror. There were no obvious monsters hiding in the background, no creepy music, no fake glitches, just a girl named Daisy Brown documenting her everyday life. But there was one small problem. Daisy's pet wasn't really normal. His name was Alan. The more people watched this strange little YouTube channel, the more they realized something was seriously wrong. Because behind the awkward jokes and casual YouTube videos was a much darker story involving experiments, secrets, and a family mystery that would slowly unfold over dozens of episodes. This is the story of Daisy Brown, one of, if not the most, underrated horror series on YouTube. At first, Daisy Brown doesn't really feel like a horror series, and that's exactly why it works. Daisy comes across as a normal teenager. She's awkward, she's nervous, and her videos feel almost too realistic to the human eye. The camera quality isn't perfect. The editing is simple, something you'd see on like Windows Movie Maker. It feels like you're watching a real person upload videos from their bedroom. Then she introduces Alan, a strange creature living inside her home. The weirdest part isn't Alan's appearance. The weirdest part is Daisy's reaction. She isn't terrified. She doesn't treat him like a monster. She treats him like a family member. She feeds him, she talks to him, she even takes care of him. And at first, viewers weren't really sure what they were watching. Was it a comedy? Was it a parody series? Was it a horror series? Was Alan supposed to be scary? The answer was slowly revealed over time. I'm going to show you a clip from the channel, and I want to see if you can find anything different within. Alright, if you didn't see it, then that's fine, but I'm going to show you the subtitles for said video, and then we're going to take a deeper look into that. For the first subtitle, the video begins with something that seems completely ordinary, footsteps and a door opening. But in the context of Daisy's story, this small moment immediately establishes the atmosphere. Daisy is entering a space that feels separated from the outside world. The sound of the door opening and closing behind her creates the feeling of isolation, almost like she is stepping away from a normal life and back into the strange world she has created with Alan. The second caption has the description of silence, or the silence of loneliness. This is one of the most important ideas in Daisy Brown's story. Despite having Alan and constantly talking to the camera, Daisy, believe it or not, is an incredibly isolated person. She doesn't have a normal family life, she doesn't seem to have many people around her, and much of her world revolves around taking care of a creature that most people really wouldn't understand. The zoo setting makes this even more noticeable because she's surrounded by people, animals, and life, yet she still feels completely alone. The third subtitle says, "The Silence of Longing." This suggests that Daisy isn't just lonely, she's missing something. Throughout the entire series, Daisy shows a desire for connection and a normal life. She wants companionship, understanding, and a sense of belonging, which Alan does feel part of that role. Even though he is a dangerous and unnatural, he is still someone Daisy cares about. The fourth and final subtitle says, "The Silence of Desire and Contemplation." This is where the scene becomes more interesting because it shows that Daisy isn't simply afraid of Alan or her situation. There's curiosity and attachment, and also desire. What to desire? but the desire to understand something that she probably should not be involved with. The zoo trip represents one of the few moments where Daisy and Alan experience something outside of their usual environment, but instead of feeling freeing, the scene reinforces the idea that Daisy is still trapped between wanting a normal life and being tied to something completely abnormal. Eventually, one question became impossible to ignore. Where did Alan come from, and what happened to Daisy's father? The more Daisy talked about her past, the stranger things became. Her father wasn't just some absent parent. He was connected to experiments that potentially created Alan. For the next following segment, I will split the video up into parts and then explain ones that have meaning.
A lot of people have been really curious about my dad. And so I thought, like, okay, I'll talk about my dad a little bit because my dad's great. He's a scientist. He's really smart. Like I said, he invented Alan. He works with genetics and DNA.
Up until this point, Daisy's father had mostly existed in the background. She had mentioned him occasionally, but this was the first time viewers learned who he really was. According to Daisy, her father wasn't just a scientist. He was the person responsible for creating Alan.
I've never been to his lab. I don't know where his lab is.
But almost immediately, something clearly doesn't add up. Daisy knows her father created Alan, yet she admits that she's never really seen his laboratory, or doesn't even know what happened.
Morning, and Alan was in the kitchen. It was a year and a half ago. It was about a year and a half, yeah. I woke up and came downstairs, and Alan was in the kitchen. He didn't look like this. He was a lot smaller,
Then comes the story that changes everything. Daisy explains that one morning she simply just woke up, walked downstairs, and found Alan just sitting in her kitchen. Her father casually explained that he'd been experimenting with creating entirely new forms of life. To Daisy, it seemed kinda normal. To everyone watching, it absolutely wasn't.
About the basement, some people have been asking about, since I've been talking about how I've been looking in the attic for my dad's notes on Alan, because I want to know if there's anything that I should know about Alan, because he's growing now, and I want to know if I'm doing things right, or if I'm doing things wrong, if I should change things. And so I've been looking for my dad's notes when he was making Alan.
As Alan continued changing, Daisy shortly realized that she needed answers. She began searching through the house for her father's research, hoping she'd find instructions, anything that could explain what Alan truly was.
I've been looking in the attic. I haven't been able to find any of it, but a lot of people have been asking, have I looked in the basement? And no, I haven't looked in the basement, because the basement's been sealed off ever since I was a little kid. I've never actually been down there. And so I've asked my dad about it a couple times, and he says that it's just, there's black mold down there. And
that's when I had noticed another mystery, the basement. Daisy explains that it's been sealed for as long as she can remember, and her father had always claimed it was just black mold. But considering everything else she had already revealed, that explanation suddenly felt a little too convenient. If Alan had really been created somewhere, many of us have started wondering if the basement was hiding more than just mold.
I guess a lot of people have been, one of the things that people are wondering is, where is my dad now? He's not here, so comment below.
Then almost as an afterthought, Daisy answers the question everyone had been asking, where is her father? She never gives us a real answer, she simply says, he's not here, and that single sentence left us with far more questions than answers. For the first few videos, Alan almost seems harmless. Sure, he looks unsettling, but Daisy treats him like any other pet. She feeds him, talks to him, and genuinely cares about his well-being. That normalcy is what makes the next few uploads so unsettling. Instead of staying the same, Alan starts changing, not just emotionally, but physically. Every new video, it makes it clear that he's getting bigger, stronger, and more difficult to manage. At first, Daisy almost seems excited by it. She talks about his growth with curiosity rather than fear, treating it like another step in his development. But what we don't realize is something that she didn't. Whatever Alan was was not following the rules of nature. The difference is almost impossible to ignore. Alan's appearance has become more defined, his movements have become more confident. Even the way he interacts with Daisy has begun to change. The creature that once depended entirely on her is slowly becoming independent, and with that independence comes massive unpredictability. Throughout the entire series, Daisy has tried explaining everything logically. She believes Alan is simply developing almost like a child reaching new milestones. But from the audience's perspective, the situation looks very different. Instead of watching a pet mature, they're watching an experiment evolve beyond anyone's control. That disconnect between Daisy's optimism and the audience's concern creates much more of the series' tension, because viewers can see the danger long before Daisy does. Then comes one of the first major warning signs. In a video titled "Alan Pulled My Hair Out," Daisy explains that Alan had attacked her. At first, she downplays the incident, then she laughs it off. She tells viewers that it wasn't intentional, but this moment fundamentally changes the relationship between these two. Up until now, Alan has definitely been strange, but now he's become more dangerous. What's interesting isn't the attack itself, it's Daisy's reaction. She doesn't become afraid of him, she doesn't try to get rid of him. Instead, she immediately begins making excuses for his behavior. She blames herself, she assures he did not mean to hurt her. Looking back, it's more subtle, but an important moment. Daisy isn't just taking care of Alan anymore, she's protecting him even when it hurts her. By this point, Alan has become far more than just a strange creature introduced in the first episode. He's become increasingly unpredictable, aggressive, and difficult to understand. Meanwhile, Daisy continues for answers in her father's research, hoping she'll find some explanation for what Alan is becoming. But the deeper she looks into her father's past, the more clear it becomes that Alan may not have been something that she can understand. Up until this point, Daisy has been centered around one question: what exactly is Alan? But as the series continues, it has become more clear that Alan isn't the only consequence of Mr. Brown's experiments. A new character is introduced, which her name is Strawberry. At first glance, Strawberry looks like another one of Curtis's creations, but unlike Alan, she immediately changes the dynamic of the story. For the first time, Alan isn't alone, and neither is Daisy.
I'm filming you, Alan! I'm gonna let everyone know how horrible you are!
You really are pathetic.
You used to be like this, Alan! You were my friend! What happened to you?
Daisy, you really must be truly desperate to think of me as your friend. I guess that's what desperation does to you.
You're so hateful.
For once in your life, you fucking lied about something. I can't stand you. And I can't believe your father tolerated you for this long.
You hate me, Alan?
Yes, you obnoxious cunt!
Then kill me! Do it! Do it, Alan! If you want to kill me, just do it and get it over with! I'm not fighting you! Do it! That's what I thought. You can't kill me. You need me, and you know that. Without me, you'll die! Just get it now. Alan, put me down! Alan, put me down!
I do it over and over again. That's my life, over and 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 over.
Okay, Clay, I get the point.
No, yeah.
By the end, Daisy was just by herself. Everything she had experienced, everything her father had left behind, everything she had to deal with. The series was never really just about a monster. Alan was the result of something much more human, a person's obsession with creating something impossible and the consequences of that obsession. Years later, Daisy remains one of the most memorable horror projects on YouTube, not because it relied on cheap scares, not because it tried to shock people every 5 seconds, but because it created a world that felt more real than others. A world where the scariest things weren't always just the monsters. Sometimes, the scariest things were the people who created them.